Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, Gachiakuta, Season 1.
Gachiakuta, Season 1, Episode 3. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. We're back for more Anime Night in the dojo. And, Rudo got drug across the wasteland last week. It's not all trash. We got the whole what's going on with the world building and how the sphere is a thing, and hopefully at some point we get to see like a cool panoramic shot of the sphere and what it actually is, and it's totally not going to be flat just to piss everybody off, and it's not going to be a sphere, so then we can have like a flat earth argument, and like it'll be fun, right?
Well, yeah, from what we've seen of the sphere, it is just a floating disc, but it probably has some sort of like, from the outside it looks like a sphere for like the atmosphere or something.
Right. So either way, looking forward to that. We got introduced to Engine, who is totally not Mikey and or Draken from Tokyo Revengers. His power set, that kind of thing. Rudo awakening to his power set, which seems to be unique based on what Engine was talking about, using multiple different items and stuff like that, because it seems like the Givers can only like link with, say, Engine's umbrella, and that's it. So it'll be interesting to see more on what Rudo's deal is, but he's probably main character syndrome. Okay, he can do more. What do you want?
Yeah, like I commented about this friggin' last time, where it's like it's like an inanimate version of friggin' a wizard familiar, where you have to like bond with it and form a connection to it. You can't just walk into a forest and say, yeah, you bird, you're my familiar now.
Right.
The Givers have to like actually spend time and effort to link with their given item.
Yep. So I assume that's what the cleaners are going to be, and they're probably some kind of organization like we talked about last time, so it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. But we're still in the early episodes here. This is a 2-core season, so we've got all kinds of time to allow this to progress and see where they're going to be going with it. But did a pretty good job hooking so far, so I'm gonna just go ahead, push some buttons, and see what's up with this week. So Patreon will get the timer set up for you, and this time, unlike yesterday with Dan to Dan, I'll make sure the timer is actually there, because yeah, that was a solid derp on my part. I didn't unfilter that scene in OBS, so rip. But yeah, it's definitely there. I checked. And people on YouTube, will see you on the other side of the edit for the discussion and review. So here goes something. Well, alrighty then. I'm kind of surprised we didn't see Anby at this burger place, but well, different universe and all that. But either way,
yeah, totally different post-apocalyptia.
Yeah, different post-apocalyptia. So as we just got done talking about in the reaction portion over there, but it bears mentioning again here for the review section as well. That is how you set up world building without making it convoluted and ridiculous. Just anime does shit based on people's latent emotions and just very persona, whatever. And if enough ill will or whatever emotion builds up, weird stuff happens like the trash beasts. Okay, if there's nuance and subtlety to it later, or it needs further explanation, cool. But you didn't need to have Engine sit here and give Rudo like the history of anima for like 60% of the episode, which certain shows do that. And it's just like, are we sitting here still talking about this? We're like 16 minutes in and Rimuru is still talking to Mjolnir. What the hell?
Yeah, or the infamous introduction to Nen.
Yeah, the Nen stuff. Holy crap, man! Anybody who saw Hunter x Hunter, do you guys remember that? I still have PTSD from that. Okay,
like Nen is an amazing system and stuff like that, but that still doesn't fix the fact that when Nen is just introduced out of nowhere, it's like 2 full episodes of just nothing but Nen exposition.
Yep, it was just literally, hey, we're just gonna talk about this for 2 full episodes while freaking Gon and Killua are just training technically, but it was literally a lecture. It was like going to class, which it's not the worst thing of all time if you like stuff like that, but there's a time and place for that, and it's not just, all right, we're just gonna freaking just force feed it down the throat of the viewer or the reader, just right in there for however long that was, like 2 full episodes or however many freaking pages that was in the freaking source material.
Yeah, in general, introducing new power systems, whether you're doing it right at the beginning of a series or as a new power system to an existing series, you technically can do the Nen thing, but that's like one of the biggest gripes people have with Hunter x Hunter is the Nen introduction.
Yep.
But generally speaking, you want to piecemeal it. You introduce things slowly over time. Like in this case, we got anima is formed by powerful emotions. And we're given 2 examples. The vital instruments, which is someone channeling positive emotions into an object over a long period of time, or the anima beasts, which is large amounts of negative emotions compiling in an area over time.
Yep.
And then, like, as another comparison, JoJo's does the radical power shift from going from Hamon into stands. But stands are slowly introduced and developed over the entire part 3. You don't just suddenly get, okay, well, here's exactly how stands work over the first, like, 3 or 4 episodes of part 3. Like, all the way up to the finale of part 3, you're still learning new shit about how stands work.
Right. It's not like Dio is just sitting there monologuing to like one of his followers and just like telling him about it, and the guy's like writing it down for like a biography or something. It's like, yeah, it's just like, yeah, so we got that all down. That took like, 3 weeks, but we got it all done. So somebody had to catalog this stuff. Meanwhile, the grandma with the special arrows is just out there, just like, can't believe he's just telling everybody this. This is crap.
Yeah, just having very complex power systems works. It is good. Most people like complex power systems. But you have to be really careful about how you actually explain the power systems, because it's very easy for a lot of stories to fall into the trap of trying to over-explain their power systems.
Yep. Then you just confuse and annoy people, and let's be honest, in this day and age of information retention and people's, attention to anything at all, if something takes more than like 20 seconds, that they're probably opting out, which is crazy to me, but that's just how are these days. I think we need to go full like Pandarian from Miss Pandaria and just slow down. Damn, dude. Give it a minute, man. If you can't watch a 3-minute video and remember what happened to it, you have a serious freaking problem. Like, seriously. This is not a joke. That is a serious short-term memory problem that can affect you massively negatively. So, if that's where we're trending toward, we need to slow down and digest stuff. Binging something is cool, but you don't want to binge everything. You don't want to have all this information put into your face all at the same time. You gotta have variety. You can't do the same thing constantly.
Yeah, once again, that's why we keep advocating against binging, because it's a proven thing that you don't retain but barely anything beyond like the most key points of the story if you're binge watching a show. Because your mind doesn't process things that fast.
Yep. Maybe for some people, but majority of people, it's not going to be that. But
well, even if you process things faster than most people, it still doesn't get moved into your long-term memory if you don't give it enough time.
Right. So, hell, with how much I've watched Archer and stuff like that, even when me and Age were doing that for the channel last year, when we rewatched it to catch Age up, there were a couple things that I noticed for the first time on like my 3rd or 4th watch through of that series. So, and it's not like I ever binged Archer, because back in the day I'd watch it once a week when it came out, on FX. So even then, there's just certain things in the background, stuff like that. We talk about that in shows like Hell of a Boss, Has Been, those kind of shows that have like massive attention to detail. There's a lot of attention to detail in this show. If you see it, in every scene, you know, with like how they seated the cat and like just other stuff like that. But
the continues allusions to the fact that Rudo is very self-conscious about girls. Like,
Yep.
he was even like giving the weird eye to just the girl walking past their table.
Yep.
Like, he just, from the beginning, he's always had this weird thing of just he cannot keep his cool around girls.
had the flashback with his dad, forget his name, but just like even mentioning like, oh yeah, she's not gonna like guys who are, you know, like this, so they're still gonna probably poke fun at that until he, when and if he ever stops being awkward about it. But
Yes, he just has some sort of, he doesn't have very good social skills in general, but in particular he has a major social aversion to girls.
Yep.
Mostly because of how Chiwa treats him.
Yep.
And then now he has that big black spot on the relationship of her betraying him at the end.
Yep. So either way, one thing I will say, something that was probably glossed over in the whole poo epidemic over here was their communicators. Kind of cool. I thought we were getting like kind of like a classic, you know, like the bird calls as like Morse code kind of deal. But no, it's just tech, so I don't even get to have that discussion. When Engine was in contact with their leader, I guess that guy was. Or was he in contact with Zaku? Was that him? Was that Zaku on the top of that building?
Yeah, no,
I don't know if we saw his face.
It was him. That was the whole thing. Of he was telling him about Rudo and getting him on board with the whole like you're going to be training him thing.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Also, classic like Mad Doctor, very what were the doctors in Cyberpunk called? It had that vibe.
Ripper Doc.
Yeah, there you go. And not a guy, apparently. So kind of like the old grandma doctor from Sakamoto days. So that was definitely a thing. Sequences like that are always interesting. But either way, the rest of this episode was just turning it off and back on again. It was pretty interesting. Speaking of attention to detail, you guys see all the graffiti in the background that was super detailed and stuff like that. That was cool. Very this show, even if we're only 3 episodes in, we can kind of get that vibe of what they're going for. And then, well,
yeah, in general, the like art style to this is like a cross between Soul Eater and Tokyo Revengers.
Yep. Because for anybody who's seen Tokyo Revengers, you can't tell me that Engine isn't just freaking Mikey and Draken mashed into one.
Yeah, just in general, the characters have. It's got more of the like cartooniness of Soul Eater mixed into it, but a lot of the like actual like designs and the way a lot of the line work is done is very Tokyo Revengers.
Yep. Which was one of the better selling points to that entire series, was that. So, yes. But what I was going to say was, they tried to one-up the Anya face because they did 2 different faces. Is this what this has come to? Is the next show that, or whatever source material is going to be, it's going to be 3 faces, and then it's just going to be a show about a character that just makes faces? So is that what this is all going to come down to? I'm calling this right now. It's going to happen. Where are we? We are freaking August something. I don't even know where we're at. What day of August is this?
12.
Yeah, the 12th. 12th of August, 2025. I'm calling it right now. At some point in the future, there's going to be a show that's just, it's going to be all Anya face, and it's just, that's going to be the power system, and it's going to be like rock, paper, scissors, except it's going to be facial expressions, and it's going to be weird. And if nobody does it, then I'm going to be very disappointed. But either way, I did see the, not this face, but the first face that he made was all over the internet that I saw, which wasn't really a spoiler. It's like, okay, so he's making a face. I get it. You guys are going to meme on it like the Anya face. Cool. But the context to it makes it more hilarious with this character interaction and stuff like that they had. But either way, you can connect with anything. I think this was the best way to prove that Rudo can connect with anything, because it was a freaking plunger.
Yeah.
Okay. So, especially compounding the fact that we're 12 minutes in and the Crunchyroll player just said F you, is the fact that he was able to connect with something that he didn't know what it was. It's one thing if he picks up a chain, he obviously knew what the chains were, you know what I mean? He knew what, like, just like a piece of rebar was, whatever. That kind of thing that we saw in the last episode. But that was one of the other sticking points of this episode, was he didn't know what a freaking plunger was. Which, kind of weird, because they had plumbing up on the sphere, and I'd assume they have, like, rudimentary plumbing in the, like, low rent district, whatever you want to call it, like the bad side of town. So, really, we don't know what a plunger is?
Oh, it depends. Like, their technology could be advanced to the point where they don't need plungers.
Yeah, I suppose. So that's...
We didn't really get a good look at the actual technology of the sphere. We just saw that they were highly averse to anything quote unquote disgusting.
Right. Which this would track for things that are disgusting. So yeah, I guess Rudo got a crash course in flinging poo. he thought he was being super cool and had found some very awesome weapon, but no, he just found a plunger in the trash. Maybe that can do something for my itchy nose, because it is driving me nuts, you guys. I'm losing my mind. But yeah, this is the hero pose. But little do you guys know that on the end of that shaft is a plunger, and some varying amounts of poo. I mean, come on, this is like standard size plunger, and he's flinging around a lot of poo. So they embellished a little.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of thinking about it with the whole thing of like imbuing the anima into the object and like enhancing whatever it normally is and stuff like that. He probably was enhancing the poop itself without realizing it.
I guess that's where we're going, and it's terrifying.
Because there really wasn't an explanation as to why there was just so much poop on that one plunger.
Yeah, you would think at some point it's no different than, you got a bunch of blood on your sword and you just, shake it off and move on. This just kept going. This was like, you ever played like GTA 5 and you're at like the freaking water truck and you just spend like half an hour spraying the water. It's like you would have run out of water by now. Come on. So, either way, solid just across the board for what they're doing here with this. They establish these characters and stuff like that. The serious nature of him diffusing a situation, let's not gloss over that. That was very real and relatable. You just have to see where the other person is coming from and just try to diffuse the situation. Like, yeah, I stole something important to you. Just that kind of thing. It's like, okay, hold on, just let's just take it down a notch and not end up in this situation. And he almost had it until he didn't have it.
Yeah, it was like the first step of him kind of trying to get over his social awkwardness. Though, to be fair, as we saw from his perspective, he didn't even know that there was someone holding on to it. It just looked like it was just a thing in an alley.
Yeah. I mean, let's be real. He was just kind of running through the alley and was like, oh man, stick, I can capture the cat with it and get my money back. Which, I guess he got his money back? So, cool.
Yeah, he did, because that was the whole thing of, like, he initially thought that he was trying to demand the money from him, not the stick.
Right. So, the other thing that came out of this too was the fact that in Rudo's situation, you don't want to broadcast the fact that you are from the sphere and just kind of like try to find information just on the DL. And yes, you know what people don't wear on the surface? The shit that you're wearing. So maybe you can get away with the pants, but the jacket probably pegs him as like you're definitely a spherite. So
seeing as how rare spherites are, he probably wouldn't immediately be pegged as a spherite, but people would probably be suspicious and still try to mug him over his spherite belongings.
Right.
Because spherite anything is high value down here.
Yep. As we saw, Engine made an okay amount of money. It paid for a doctor's visit, which we don't know how much that costs down on the surface. Lunch and enough to, do something with. So I'd say a reasonable amount of money. So, yeah. But they're doing a good job establishing everything they need to. Just all the stuff going on in the background, the attention to detail, all that. Like when they were driving through the town here, just people doing whatever they're doing, establishing the cleaners as what they are. It's about what we expected. I hope we get a little bit more on their communicators and stuff like that, because that's kind of like a random just bit of curiosity for me. But either way, the madness will continue. Rudo does not dye his hair. That is natural protagonist color to go along with him being a natural. So suck it, nerds. I'm done.
Yeah, we'll have to see more. Like in the OP, we see there's like a dozen sub-cleaners, but the main group that we see portrayed is this group plus like one other guy who's probably the leader.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see how this is established going forward, whether or not anybody has any information on how to get back to get to the sphere. You don't want to say I need to get back to the sphere. They probably want to revise the story of this guy is just kind of weird and he wants to go to the sphere, not get back to, because then that's how you start the rumor that the Avatar is on Kyoshi, and then you end up with the Fire Nation finding out. So you don't want to do that and paint a target on your back because then they'll want to sell you for parts, just like we saw last week. So but being with the cleaners probably is reasonable protection, considering they made it sound like people who are able to wield the good anima are reasonably rare. So
yeah, givers are apparently very rare, and the cleaners are, from what we know, a very well reputable group, in that they're the handful of givers who go around basically just protecting everyone from negative anima.
Right. So, either way, another solid episode. The Rudo faces will probably continue. The awkwardness will continue. I'm sure the flashbacks will also continue. So, there's definitely plenty to get to in this, I'm sure. So, buckle up. We got 21 whole weeks left.
At some point or another, Rudo might get a little less nervous around girls.
Right. How long did it take Deku to do that? Still not. That's right. I forgot. To be fair, he's not as awkward at the end of the series here. So we'll just have to see how Rudo's character arc with that plays out.
At least, yeah, with Deku was just... he never really had an idea for what to do about any sort of romantic anything. Rudo has a major social aversion to girls.
No. So kind of two completely different things. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube, beyond however you're watching, we always appreciate you stopping by and hanging with us in the dojo for more Anime Night in the Dojo in this Gachiakuta Season 1, Episode 3. So have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.